Welcome to That's What She Said, where we'll spill the tea on women empowerment in the Great Lakes Bay region with your host, Christiana Malacara.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of That's What She Said with me, Christiana Malacara. Thank you so much for tuning in today in one of the many ways that you can. So if you are on social media, it is most likely Thursday at 1:30. You know what? I'm pretty sure Thursday is my favorite day of the week. My kids actually asked me that fairly recently, and I wanted to say Monday, but no, it's Thursday because we're live on social media at 1:30. And that would be on Facebook and YouTube. If you are listening to us on the radio waves, it is would be on a Saturday morning, 8 a.m. or a Sunday at 6 p.m. And then we are in podcast format 24/7. I like to say when you're doing the laundry, when you're getting your workout, just when you have a spare time. I know, ladies, spare time, right? That's a whole nother conversation. But the podcast format can be found 24/7, and that would be on Spotify, my fave. Also on Apple Podcast and then Audible. So with that being said, I'm really excited that you're here. Okay. And I probably say that fairly often too, but the excitement is always something that grows in me. I have this little saying, it's a little theory about, okay, I'm going to mention two things. The first is I have this theory that excitement is actually nervousness and you shift it, right? So if you're nervous about something, most likely it is something that is exciting. It is something that is changing, something that is shifting. And so that nervousness can just be balled up and then re-brought to the surface as excitement. So yes, I am truly excited that you are tuning in to That's What She Said with myself, Christiana Malacara. Each week we spill the tea on women empowerment. So here's actually what I wanted to say. So from That's What She Said Day to the following week's That's What She Said Day, I have been journaling. I have had so many wonderful women sit across from me every week. And that's a common thread that I've seen, that they journal, they write. If it's, every day at the same time and for this long, or if it's just a book thrown in the side of their car and a pen and a thought comes to them, they just write it down. And right now I'm that girl. So with that being said, I have been writing down and kind of tallying almost every time that I'm saying yes to an opportunity and every time I'm saying no to an opportunity. Well, from last That's What She Said episode to this, I had a little bit of confusion when I was doing that with my tallies. There was something that came across and I said, is that a yes or no? Is this a yes, I am doing this, or no, I'm providing somebody else with this opportunity by saying no? So by tuning into That's What She Said, you're investing in yourself, but sometimes saying no is saying yes to yourself. And that can be growth. Growth is hard to do. Saying no is hard to do, but saying yes to yourself, even if that thing that you're moving forward with fails, you still did it. And that was an investment in yourself. So as you navigate through your week, let's just take a moment, one, to say, am I investing in myself? Yes or no? Is there something that I can say no to that is an opportunity for someone else? Is there something I can say no to that is an opportunity for myself? And just keep growing, keep encouraging, and keep up the great work, ladies. So I want to introduce my friend, and this amazing guest that we have. I had asked her to be on That's What She Said, and she's like, yeah, let's do this. So we're here and we're doing this with my friend, Cindy Seitz. Hi, Cindy.
Hello.
Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I want to say that we've probably known each other easily over a year, maybe even closer to a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And we have had casual interaction. I think we've painted before. We've also sat inside meetings together. And I think our relationship is pretty dynamic, pretty, like we're friendly, but we also know how to get things done. Mm-hmm. And I love that about us. Mm-hmm. So I want to say thank you for coming on. I really do appreciate that. I want you to introduce yourself and how the community might know you.
Ooh. Well, again, thank you for this opportunity. this was obviously, back to what you just said, a yes for me to say yes to this opportunity. But who people might know me. Well, my name is Cindy Seitz. The first thing that comes to my mind is, for those who know Terry Duperrin, I would say I'm his sidekick, on which you might hear a little more about today. What else? I'm a mom, a grandma, a wife of 31 years yesterday.
Congratulations.
Yes.
That's awesome.
But I'm only 42. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll take it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's probably much to say, but that is what comes to my mind right away of who people might know me as.
Who is Terry Duperrin?
Terry Duperrin. How do I say that in one? It could be the whole podcast if I wanted to talk about him. And if he listens to this, hopefully his head don't get too big. But he is first and foremost the founder and co-owner of Duperrin Corporation here in Saginaw, Michigan. They are celebrating their 40 years, or we are celebrating our 40 years this year with that company. They are very involved in the community, but they also are in an international business. But I got to meet him almost 13 years ago when I started working for Duperrin Corporation. So,
what did you do at Duperrin?
So I entered there after being an entrepreneur for over 10 years. Decided to go a different route in my life, in my journey. Was a little broken when I was hired there. And I had decided didn't want anything to do with being an entrepreneur. Decided what I wanted was to work somewhere 9 to 5, check in, check out, be done, and that would be good. So they had an opportunity there to work at the front desk. And I'm like, oh, perfect. I get to meet people. I love meeting people. But can check in, check out, be done. And so that's where I started, working at the front desk, greeting people, answering the phones.
So you said you were originally an entrepreneur for 10 years.
Yes.
That's an investment in time.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out?
Well, it's funny though, if I look back, I probably had a little bit of that in me even before that. When my kids were born, I decided I didn't want to have a quote unquote job. So I did licensed daycare in my home for quite a while, and didn't work out. It for many different reasons. I did it with a partner, and as most business owners know, there's a lot of work in it, and did a lot of countless sleepless nights. The kids were just at an age where it just wasn't for me anymore. So we sold the business. Yeah.
And then you ended up finding a job at a front desk.
Yes.
And you said, when I'm there, I'm there. When I'm done, I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I thought. I was fooling myself, but
okay. All right. We're only a few minutes into this, but let's unpack that. How is it that you fooled yourself?
Well, because it wasn't much after that. Well, back to Terry Duperrin. I remember the first day I met him, he walked out to the front desk, and as anybody that knows him, it doesn't matter who you are. You meet him and you have to be ready for probably about 2 hours. I mean, he just takes that time with you and gets to know you. And like I said, that's a whole nother conversation. But as I got to know him, I learned about this class that he taught, which at that time was called an entrepreneurship class, and fought it the whole way. I'm like, no, that's not where I want to go. So I took the class, and to be honest, that first time I took it was probably one of the most challenging things that I ever did in my life. The first class was all about just taking that time to look at who you were and learn more about you and what you love to do. And as I said, well, my kids were at that time probably middle school, high school age, that time where they still need you, but they really don't need you.
Mhm.
And
They don't want to tell you that they need you,
Yeah,
but they need you.
exactly.
Yep.
And for so many years, that's what your life is focused on. I mean, I loved it.
Yeah.
Best thing in my life is my kids. But then you got to turn around and figure out, what do I like, you know? So I took this class. I remember on the way home, I sobbed uncontrollably on the way home because I'm just like, I have no idea who I am, you
Mm.
know? So I took this class and found out, even though it was considered an entrepreneurship class, there's so much, it's so much more than that. It's not about the person that, it is about that person who wants to start a small business, but it's also just those people. A lot of times, I think you said it in the beginning of the show, that shift in your life, doing something new or different and making the choices that fit you, and here I am at this job, I mean, it's exactly what I was doing.
So you were in the middle of a shift, right?
Yeah.
You left entrepreneurship and you're like, I'm doing this 9 to 5. When I'm in the office, I'm in. When I'm out. But it sounds like you did that for the sake of your children also.
Yeah.
And so when you were taking this class with Terry DeParron, you had a awakening of, who the heck am I? I'm Cindy Seitz, but am I a mom or an entrepreneur or wife? Like in the beginning of the show, I just said, how does the community know you? Right.
That's a question that even today, I don't even know how to answer that, but I will say, even though I fought it along the way to do this class and not be an entrepreneur, there was just something about it I just loved. I love the class. It made such a difference in my life. I seen what a difference it was making for everyone else, and I just wanted to be a part of it. So that 9 to 5 job didn't stay like that for very long.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Now I think we have our listeners intrigued.
Nice.
What happened next?
I just latched on, and whether Terry liked it or not, I was like, I want to be a part of this. What can I do? And like I said, I think that was almost 13 years ago. And it started with just helping with the books, the registration, all that stuff. But as I was doing that, each time I sat and I took, I don't know how many times I've taken the class.
Yeah.
Um,
So what drew you to being part of the bigger picture? Because you're first a student sitting there learning, and then like most students, when we're done with a class, a course, anything, you move on.
Because it wasn't that, you just, the connections you make and being around all these people who want to make a difference in this world, want to, you don't move. I mean, you move on, but, I don't know how to put words to it. Yeah.
So what is it that I know, but what did this evolve to? What's now? Let's share that part.
So, as I said, I kind of fought that all along the way, which is pretty ironic because, I guess if I would jump to today, 13 years later, which that lady 13 years ago would be like, what? Today I'm partners with Terry with DeParron Education. And as this class, which I'm not going to call it that anymore going forward, we've actually we're launching, it's called Glimpses, because that's what it is. You're able to just get just a glimpse of who you are and where you're going and how to get there. And we are looking at so many trying to think of how to say where we're at today. We are at a point where we have seen thousands of people take this class, and it's not for everyone, but there's many people we've heard what a difference it's made. And we want to make that possible for whoever that is, young, old, here in Saginaw, Africa. So that's what we're doing. We're seeing what's possible with that.
This is a 13-year journey of identity.
For me, yes. Oh, yeah.
It is challenging. I'm not gonna say it isn't. It is challenging for a woman to find their identity. There's so many transitional points, right? And I mean, not to be excluding, but men too, right? There's transitions in life. But for women, why do you see that sometimes it's challenging to get to that next transition as a woman?
Well, I can speak for myself personally. It's challenging for me because even though I remind myself all the time, when I look at myself, I'm always focusing on what I'm not, and I can't do that, and I'm not good at this, and I do it this way, and that's not the way it should be. So for me, that makes it really hard for me to identify who I am.
So you're pulling out what's not there and highlighting that.
Yes.
Is that good? Is that healthy? Should we still do that? Is it?
Oh, absolutely not. And like I said, I keep reminding myself, and there's many people in my life, but Terry, when I met him 13 years ago, I mean, it's funny because those things, like I'm a quiet person. I'm not that person that's, in a meeting and then just speaks up and shares everything. I usually sit back and I process and I take it in and stuff. And there's other things about me too, where I'm just like, it would hold me back. And to have those people in your life, like Terry, I mean, where you realize, no, do it the way you do it, and that's, it's a journey, and it's something that I have to constantly remind myself. I mean, even this invitation to come here, I have never had an interview in my life.
So the Cindy from 13 years ago, a two-part question here. What do you think she would tell today's Cindy?
That I am to be okay with who you are and just do it like you do it, Cindy. Don't look around. Don't look around at how someone else is doing it. Just do it like you do.
What piece of advice would you give a woman who is thinking, I do need to take that leap of faith. I want to take advice from Cindy, right? But what is the first step?
Oh. What comes to my mind is just an actual physical exercise. Grab a piece of paper and write down those things that you're good at, and just like I'm a visual person, write them out. I've done this before. Put them on your mirror, put them on the desk, and when you're having those moments where you're like, just look at that, Yeah.
What is something that you've written out before?
I'm a good listener. And to just continue listening, just take that time. It's okay if there's that space. These are things I tell myself. It's okay if you just ask that question. And normally I don't have an answer right away. So I'm like, and it's like, it's okay. Just take that moment, take that time, really listen. And yeah.
What does that pause do for you, or what should it do for someone?
For me, I just use the words like it just brings me back to the moment. That's because I'm not someone that has, I don't think, I've never been diagnosed with ADD, but my mind goes all over the place in 5 million different directions. So that's what I always say to myself, get myself back in that moment, you know. I know, as I said, you know, we're doing a lot with glimpses. And one of the things that we're exploring is taking it online. And we just finished a pilot online session where Michelle and I, we facilitated it. We used some videos and we facilitated. And that's a whole nother show, but the things that I went through, because I'm like, that's not me. I don't facilitate. So when we were in that moment, you know, and we had 15 people in the class and they're all on that screen. And my mind would go in those 5 million different directions of, you know, we're almost out of time and we got to get to this and we got to make sure we do this. I actually had it right on my screen, stay in the moment. And I actually, during the session, stopped the session and said to the group, I just came out and told them, and I'm like, I have it in front of me, but I'm telling you to call me out too, because that's so important to be in that moment.
To stay in the moment.
Yes.
Wow. Well, we are going to put a pause on this conversation. And for our listeners, please come back to tune in to the second half of That's What She Said with Cindy Seitz as we take as we take a glimpse into what a pause might look like for women in the region. So stay tuned.
That's What She Said with Christiana Malacara is back. Now let's spill the tea.
And we are back with more tea to be spilled on women empowerment with That's What She Said with me, Christiana Malacara. Thank you so much for coming back to the second half. We have an amazing guest here who I personally have learned from. Cindy Seitz is here with us today, and she is just a pillar in the community when it comes to the sense of teaching the next step, teaching who you are. But as we just found out, if you were listening to the first half, Cindy many years ago was reflecting on her own identity. As I know women do in the many chapters of our life, we ask ourselves this question of, you know, what the heck am I doing? Right? So thank you, Cindy. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you coming on. We're going to talk a little bit more about you. Let's take a moment and kind of detach ourselves from the identity of having being now an entrepreneur yourself and talk a little bit about you. What makes you tick? So when you introduced yourself in the first half, you said, I'm a mom, but I'm a grandma. And you said it. You said it with a little extra love there. So tell us about your family.
Well, I have 3 boys. I'm a boy mom. And they are 25, 27, 29. They live all right very close by, within probably 15 minutes of me, which I love.
That's nice.
And 2 are married. And my oldest has a granddaughter. So that's been interesting. She just turned 2. So I get to see what girls are all about, which
That's
I
special.
have no idea. So
there's a lot of pink and purple and glitter and yellow and sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah, something I'm not used to. So excited about that. And then we have 2 more on the way. So I will be a grandma of 3 this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
I don't know if I can put words to it. It's something that I've always dreamed of back from when I was a little girl, being a mom, having grandkids. Yeah.
Well, that's an identity shift.
Yes. Yes, it is. Yeah.
How are you taking that?
I love it. And as I'm as you mentioned something earlier about like 13 years ago, saying who the heck am I and where I'm going? It's funny because it's like, okay, that was 13 years ago and that's me again today. I think it's a continual thing. But as I asked myself that, and I daydream is what I call it, about what my days will look like, they're a part of it, you know? Yeah.
The grandkids.
Yes. The kids too.
The kids too. Well,
Yes.
yeah, I mean,
they make those comments when I come over. We know you're over here to see Emily. And it's like, no, I'm not.
you happen to live here too.
Yes. I love you all.
Oh,
so, yeah.
So you said that when you were a little girl, you imagined being a mom.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I can only relate to myself, but like I didn't. When I was a little girl, I just thought of like the next thing, right? Some little girls dream about, oh, what is my wedding going to be like, right? You jumped right ahead and was like, I'm excited to be a mom.
Yeah, I think I even thought wedding wasn't even a part of it. I mean, obviously, I married my best friend too, and he's amazing. Say amazing things about him, but yeah, no, that's all I wanted to do. Didn't matter if it was natural. I was going to adopt, whatever. I was going to be a mom. So,
and in the last segment, you mentioned you had a daycare in home.
I did. Yeah.
Okay, so there's this deep passion for children, and can you unpack that a little bit for us?
That's interesting. Well, the first thing that comes to my mind with you saying that, and back to do parent education, it's funny because we have no idea. There's so many thoughts and ideas and dreams of where we want to go with that. And that's a direction that I am very passionate about. I love being a part of adults and older young teenagers trying to figure out what their passions are and where they want to go. But those young kids, and as Terry teaches in the class, it's so neat to look at these kids before they start school, and how creative. I mean, I watched my little 2-year-old granddaughter and the things that they can do with having nothing that they even learned it from, that they're creating it on their own. It's just amazing. And so I don't know what that's going to look like, but as you know, when you start school's amazing, but it's a different experience. A lot of times you have to, there's a little more structure to it, I guess. And a lot of times you see and I remember that as a kid, when you conform, you have to earn certain grades and you have to pass certain tests. And I would love to be a part of something that creates something that helps these kids keep that creativity and knowing what their passions are alive. So I don't know what that'll be, but
yeah. You're right. Kids create and think on their own, and then they go to school, and then they're taught something. That thinking on their own part may not be as fluid as it was before a kid sitting at their desk for hours a day.
Yes. Yeah. And I would say back to being a grandma, that's one thing that's amazing because, as a parent, you have a schedule, you have all these things your kids are involved in and things naturally that's how it is.
Yeah.
But to go and spend time with your grandkids and just be with them and not care about any of that stuff, it's such a whole different amazing experience.
There we go. There was the tea. It was being spilled. She's the one that's giving your kids candy. Yep.
Yeah.
So the grandma has no rules. Okay.
Exactly.
So let's talk about that for a minute. I liked when you said right now something along the lines of like there's a conforming in this aspect and then we need to keep that creative side. Okay. Do you see yourself as an adult having to conform to things and then keeping a creative side? Is that something that you try to work into your day?
Yeah. So both sides are great. I mean, I don't know about conforming, but they're
Mhm.
both are important. I think are important in life, and I can, I think, I can play or live in both sides pretty good. But what I noticed, what I'm personally, it's funny experiencing in this part of my life is the the career that I'm doing at DuParon Corporation tends to be more like that, which um, makes it hard to keep that creative side going.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know if I answered your question. I
Oh,
don't think I did. Keep talking.
what?
See, my mind's going.
I see it.
What did I say? Get back.
And
Get present.
and and that's fine if you want to share something, please do.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna kind of poke a little bit here. When you said if we're teaching someone in this class who's here in Saginaw or in Africa, that was pretty specific that you said Africa.
I did. That just came out, didn't it?
Yeah. I actually had the opportunity to talk to your best friend, your husband, Dan, and he has wonderful things to say of you, obviously, but he told me that you guys went on a trip.
Mm.
Can you tell me and share a little bit about that?
Ooh. Okay, you said a little bit. So where do you want me to start?
Where did you go and why?
Oof. Now that story definitely tells you the ripple effect of things.
Let's do it.
So I don't even know where it started, but from where I know it started, it all started with a man that named Dr. Joseph Afori-Dankwa, who had asked Terry if he would be interested in going to Ghana, Africa. I want to say maybe 5 years ago to teach the class. So this was something that Dr. Joseph wanted, and that was an opportunity for Terry. And he said, yes, let's do it. So he went and he taught the class there. And in the audience there was a young woman named Priscilla who came up and shared her dream with Terry. And her dream was to open her own center there in Ghana for children with autism, dyslexia, special needs. And she wanted to open it. And as I won't get into the details too much because that's just part of what that leads me to what to why I was there. She shared her dream, and Terry was like, "Well, let's help make that happen. What do we need?" And she was like, "I'd love to come to United States, get some further training, and just see what United States does." And he said, "Well, let's do it." So he ended up having her come to the United States that next year. And so my role at DuParon Corporation is executive assistant for Terry, Tammy, and Mark. And as an assistant for Terry, I was like, yeah, I'll take her around. I'll take her from here. I'll pick her up at the hotel. Got to meet her. Fast forward, we are really good friends. That center opened up in Ghana.
Wow.
It's the DuParon Learning Center there. And we had the opportunity, my husband and I, to go there for the ribbon cutting ceremony. Yeah. I mean, I don't have words for that experience, but yeah.
Did that experience shift your identity?
One thing that happened while I was there, so I went there at first in my head. I don't know if it was anybody else's head, but in my head, I'm like, I'm going because I'm representing Terry. He went there a few years ago, and I'll take one for the team. I'll go for you, And so I went there with that hat on, and it didn't take long. I was there, and pretty much everybody looked at me like,
Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Like you're leading this. What do you do? Like, and I'm just like, okay. I mean, I remember Joseph saying the TV station's coming and you need to speak about this. And I'm just like, me? I'm the assistant here,
Uh-huh.
and it stretched me and it was uncomfortable, but I just left going, wow. I mean, I caused this to happen. I was a part of what caused this to happen. There's so much more that happened there while we were there, but, yeah, so it did shift my identity because it was very empowering. It made me realize to be who I was and what a difference I was making being there. So, yeah.
Well, I think based off this conversation, you are making a difference. Do you feel that?
So, it's funny that I'm sitting in this seat because the hardest thing for me to talk about is myself. Like, so that question is like, I don't know, ask someone else, because who am I to say that? I guess, I don't know if this answers it, but to express some feelings that I've been having lately, like as I shared, we just did that online course, which in my head, I'm like, this is going to be a failure. I mean, why is this going to work? Terry's on videos. That is who people want to see, and they want to talk to. They don't want to listen to me. And after that, we had that in the conversations I've been having with people and what a difference it made. I don't know if I can answer your question, but it was very overwhelming and it made me realize I want to keep doing it.
Oh, you want to keep doing it. And what is it that is detaching you from saying, hey, I did that with confidence?
Because it's not just I did that. There's so much more than me in this picture. I mean, it's the people who you surround yourself with. And for me, I believe in God. I mean, it's not I. So it's we. So
you're very humble. You're very humble. There is literally a school on the other side of the planet and you were part of it. And you put it in that perspective, and you said it, and I usually do. You took the words right out of my mouth, but that rippling effect that happens when we touch just one person's life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, you actually, and I'll say it, Cindy has taught me this concept of 1 degree. When someone touches your life, you may steer from the path by 1 degree, and next thing you know, you look up and you're at a different path. So the people that have been in your life doing that for you, but with all the things that you've said from, being a teacher now, essentially a teacher here of glimpses, is something that you had tried to repel so bad for so long, to your grandkids. Like we're starting a whole new journey here, being a grandma of 3. That's amazing. But let's pass along advice like we love to do here on That's What She Said. When someone is not feeling confident in themselves and maybe their faith isn't as strong as yours, what can they do to be more confident in their own skin?
It feels so overused, this phrase, but it really is something that I say to myself all the time, is to be you. Just do it like you do it. Just, yeah.
What do you think that's going to do for a woman who has low confidence in herself? Or how can they shift to be someone that is humble, but also excited to be themselves?
I think it's personally, I can speak for experience. I mean, they're words and it's hard to get yourself to believe them. But when you, even if it's just, there's a lot of people in your life, and there are those people that might not make you feel like that. But genuinely, in my whole life, there's always been someone there that helps me. And just surround yourself with, even if it's just that one person, you know. I have a couple people in my mind, and when I start going there, like, I pick up the phone, or I'm like, hey, can you talk? I mean, and it just naturally, because you know that person is that for you, you know, that, yeah.
So it seems like there's a fine line here when it comes to being confident and then being humble, right? I feel like those kind of butt up against each other for a lot of people. Like, I know I have this capability, but I kind of need to hide it a little bit because it's not all about me.
Oh, did you just read my mind?
That's technically what these headphones are doing, guys.
Yeah. Magic.
So when someone is addressed with that situation, what would you say to her?
Say that phrase again that I just said in my mind that you read.
When someone is, I guess, how can I rephrase that into a question? What could you tell someone when they're approached with, I know I have the confidence in getting this done, but then once it's done, they want or feel like they need to be humble about it? One, why do women feel that way? And two, how do we overcome that?
I don't know. My first thing is, do you have to?
That's interesting. Because I guess sometimes you don't. Maybe that is the pausing and living in the moment that you were talking about.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just what is coming to my mind. Do you have to?
Is there a strong benefit to being a humble person?
So the people that I know that are humble, what I think a benefit is it just for me, when I'm with that person, it really makes me okay. Like, it just creates that space where you can just say or be anything and they're okay with it. You know what I mean? Because they're okay with who they are, you know, so it makes it okay with me, okay with who I am, if that makes any sense.
But I also feel like being okay with who you are has something to do with your confidence.
That's true.
So if you have low
That's very true.
confidence, do you tend to be more humble?
I don't know. I feel like you need a whole show on that one. Because I think I don't think so. Because I would say I know I've grown a lot, and the confidence has definitely, that's one thing when you say like my identity has changed or whatever. I think that's really grown, that confidence. That woman 13 years ago would never have said, let's do this show. Or would never have said, all right, I'll facilitate that class. You know, that's taken a lot of growth and confidence in me. But I don't know if my humbleness is, I don't know.
Okay. So let's just say Cindy Seitz here has accomplished big things. If it is a win within a year, 2 years, the 13 years, or maybe, the many years of being married, you said just celebrated an anniversary, but how is it that you even come to terms to say, I'm going to celebrate this win? Do you do that? Do you celebrate a win?
No.
Why?
It makes me happy. makes me very happy. I mean, I just makes my heart happy, but no, because it makes it, my mind's already thinking about what's next. Like, wow, this is amazing that this happened, and what's going to happen because of what's next. I don't know. There's no time to celebrate.
Because we're on to what's next.
Yes.
Well,
Which brings me back to making sure I have that space, like you said. That
I mean, it's. I think celebrations take place in safe spaces. So I want to say, one, thank you for coming on to the show. But two,
you.
what is one or two words that push you through your day that you can pass along as words of advice for a woman of the Great Lakes Bay region?
I know I've said it already, but what comes to mind is do it like you do it.
Do it like you do it.
Do it like you do it.
Well, thank you, Cindy. And for those listening, do it like you do it. That was Cindy Seitz, and that's what she said.